Hello and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to talk about the Kanonenboot K-2 or the gunboat K-2. It is a Dutch design and it is in the German tech tree at a battle rating of 4.0, and there are a lot of things that we have to talk about. The firepower, the mobility, the protection, the armor, the survivability, the usefulness on the battlefield, and to be honest, the ship has potential. I sometimes like to play the ship. However, there are so many issues associated with it that I really have to think that, I have to begin from the start. I wanted to play the ship, I wanted to play a few battles, get the grips of it, compare it to some of the other destroyers maybe make the first ship review, an actual proper ship review on this. And I was kind of very rudely awakened by the meta of the game. Now, don't get me wrong, I know how to play ships with the Z20. I'm always disappointed if I don't get like 10 kills with this one. The same goes for the Cowell, the American counterpart. Hell, even ships like the Type 1939 or the 1924 design are useful, but they are like diet versions. However, they field a lower battle rating, so from time to time you actually are top dog. With the Kanonenboot K2 you have so many actual drawbacks in the battles due to the map design, due to your lack of speed and all those things. It would take like a few hours to explain every single aspect of it. I tried to boil it down, and I have an ace game in it that I didn't survive, but I just want to make a bit of a raw comparison to the Z20 from the raw stats, and you might understand where the problem lies. So first of all, I think it is a silver ship, and the stock grind is monumental to get the ship in any sort of useful condition, and that already at battle rating 4.0. If I have ever really ranted about the Leopard 2, about the Leopard 1, with the L7, APDS not working, hash nerf, hash rework, heat, stock grind to rank 4, the mobility, and multiply it by 3.5, and you have the Kanonenboot K-2 issues against the competition. The thing is very slow. The armor is actually a drawback and doesn't help you in the slightest, and I have enough footage gathered, so I try to get the best bits and pieces for you out to have a look at them. But it's not that the ship itself is completely bad. In fact, there are situations where it's enjoyable, but to get into those positions is not at your request. It is at the mercy of your team and also at the mercy of the enemy team. And I think the most neck-breaking thing, the quintessence, is the speed. Look, here it is given with 26.5 kilometers an hour. Stock, it is even lower, and fully upgraded, it might be just 30 kilometers an hour. It's a bit faster in the actual battle, if you might believe the speed indicator, but that's not even half of what the Z20 is delivering with 71 kilometers an hour, similar to the Cowell. Hell, even the stock Type 1939 has 52 kilometers an hour, effectively doubling your speed. So that is important in many ways: to accelerate, to go to a position, to disengage a fight, to pick the fight at your will, to maneuver around an island. It is so difficult with this. If you want to just have a slight indication how it might feel, it is like an AFD1, but at one battle rating higher when it comes to the mobility. I'm not exaggerating, because the turning, the maneuvering, the raw speed, they are really awful. To actually wrap your head around the fact how slow it is and how much of a drawback that is, you have to sell it yourself. This is just 0.3 lower than the Cargaster. And then we have not even talked about the firepower. The firepower is also pretty limiting. I'm not saying it's useless. If the enemy helps you, it is actually not that bad. And then you have to know how to use it, and that's not the best, not the easiest way to do it. So the turret rotation speed is slow. You have just 2 times 2 120mm guns that fire nothing but HE. Nothing but HE, no upgrade. This Panzergranat is here for the 37s, to which I will come in a moment. And you have double turret in the front and one in the back. And the turret rotation speed is slow. The rate of fire is much slower than on the German and the American counterpart, which have technically bigger guns. You have no armor piercing shots, which would be very, very useful in certain situations. And you sometimes even have real difficulties dealing with patrol boats that are charging you. And I'm not talking about avoiding the torpedoes in the first place, actually killing them if they're bow in. You don't have the option of loading armor piercing and just blasting through the entire length of the ship. You then have to aim for the bridge and hope for the splash to go through and down, and to also saturate the bow. And even then, it is mind-boggling how difficult it is to make this ship work. And I'm not talking here even about avoiding air attacks, because if an airplane spots you, good luck, especially when you are preoccupied with fighting a destroyer. So the guns are a problem, and the mobility is a problem. Let's have a look at the armor. And we have one of the thickest armors in the game so far, even if you count the light cruisers. 60mm on the turret, front, side and rear, also the barbettes and parts of the lower, the upper armor. And then we are also having here 40 and 50mm platings protecting the citadel, which are completely useless. Deck armor 20 and 35mm. I'm not sure how to explain it, but even patrol boats, even armed DLS ships do damage to you. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, they just shoot in your general direction and you take damage. If you are in a direct fair fight with a destroyer, broadside versus broadside, if the destroyer has any sort of decent aim, he just can blap you into a new dimension within 1 or 2 salvos, much faster than you can actually get 3 or 4 salvos out, even with the best RNG dispersion of the shells, hitting the exact right spots to mow down the crew. It's just not fair. And the thing is, you start with the destroyers on the destroyer spawns, having not even half of their speed, being the easiest target to kill. Guess who all the guys are shooting in open water? Not the destroyers, they're shooting you. And your return fire dies quite easily. So you have so many drawbacks, you have so many issues, I cannot even list them. And the stock grind, just to come back to this in a moment, to get the tool sets, to get the fire protection and the shrapnel protection that make you somewhat relevant, is an absolute nightmare. I was so much worse compared to the Z20 that eventually the game decided to gift me the dry docking and the rudder replacement, which makes an enormous, and I mean enormous difference. That stock grind is mind-boggling. I have never seen something like this, even with tanks, and I'm not exaggerating. This is absolutely terrifying. If this goes into the game, I might be one of the few actually playing it, because I have a decent supply of golden eagles from Gaijin, which might help you, getting me in somewhat useful state. You catch 1 HE shell and you burn down. Yeah, that's it. This is how it usually worked in the first few battles. Now, the performance difference already with those upgrades compared to the stock performance is absolutely huge. So when you look at the best battle that I had, which was the battle that I just had, you might think, oh my god, that thing is slow compared to everything else. So the enemy must not shoot you, you must have really good aim, you must have the luck of the enemy and your team placing each other in such a way that you even can get guns on targets. And very often you come then after like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes of sailing in a straight lane, into a position where you actually can shoot the enemy, and then the fight is over in under 1 minute because you get shredded to pieces, hell, even by patrol boats, if they bother shooting you in the first place and not just dropping torpedoes, because this is a mistake that they think you are actually a worthy destroyer and they cannot do anything. Their guns, 40mm, 37mm, HE and APHE shells already deal massive damage to you and can deal so much damage to you that your crew drops massively. I'm not exaggerating, I have the footage right here. So the summary is, the ship itself is capable of dishing out damage, of defending itself, but it is completely misplaced in the tech tree. The battle rating is way too high, and if I think about the balance of, let's go to the fleet, of the SF-40 Leichte and the SF-40 Schwere with half the battle rating spawning amongst the patrol boats, it is a completely different world. I cannot understand the balance in the slightest. And if this is the result of 3, 4, 5 years of developing this game branch, or this game mode branch, I'm shocked and horrified. The difference of 0.3 battle rating to the Z20, which you will fight in each and every battle, is monumental. The issues are so great that if you insist of playing just this ship, just for the sake of the argument, sometimes if you hit the wrong map with the map rotation, it's faster to just leave the match, queue up in another match, wait for 3-4 minutes to get a better map with better spawn location and spawn there. You are then earlier in the fight than you would be in the previous battle. It is that monumentally bad. I'm not exaggerating. This ship is completely misplaced. So how can we fix this? First of all, the difference between the stock and the upgraded performance needs to be shifted closer to the upgraded performance, because the turning, the acceleration, the top speed are so monumentally bad. I'm not exaggerating. Then also the battle rating needs to be reduced, that it actually earns the name gunboat. Then it might be better. The spawn for this particularly ship needs to be somewhere in between the destroyer and the patrol boat spawn points, because otherwise you are just simply pointless. It's hell, even spawning in late game scenarios, you are pointless, okay? And I cannot really just say it enough. The difference to other destroyers in terms of sheer fighting value, like the Type 1924, the Type 1939, which have a lower battle rating than you for whatever reason, and I cannot understand, is dramatic. They are even more fighting worthy in the already existing meta, and then you know you have to fight Z20s and Cowells that have a high rate of fire with better ammunition selection, better survivability, and just more guns. So you are massively out DPM'd. And if the enemy goes bowing, you might just saturate the bridge and the turrets and the bow section, and then what? He just turns broadside and you eat a bunch of torps, which you don't have. So you have no threat to you. Everybody can come around the corner, surprise you, and you do not have the turret rotation speed, nor the rate of fire, nor the accuracy on the guns to really retaliate. And you just are bound to HE. So even patrol boats can go bow in and be a hell to deal with, even if you switch to the AAA. I'm not ranting here, I'm just simply shocked, massively shocked, how many issues you have with that ship. Now you might say, oh Napalm, please, it is a closed beta. Things are subject to change, and you are right. But this is like comparing an IS-6 to a Churchill Mark III. Okay? This one is the Churchill Mark III, that is the IS-6. Or this is a Tiger II, and this is a Tiger I, you know? or this being a T-29 and this is a Super Pershing. You know, you can throw all sorts of comparisons at me and I'll find, you know, somewhere which is what. I'm honestly shocked how bad this thing is in the meta. But by itself, it is not a bad ship. Look, it has big guns. It has a decent amount of them. It has 20mm and 37mm. It has armor. And I think it just needs to find a new place. In the current place, it is as misplaced as possible. This thing with all the issues, guess what? From time to time, you even have to face KMS Emden's or the American counterpart, the USS Trenton. Yeah, so much for balance. Honestly, the discrepancy of balance in this game is just off the charts. It is so misplaced, and I think, well, this is now the 10th, 15th take of this video. I already recorded one, but then I had the battle that I'm about to show you, and yeah, I think it was worth redoing. And yes, it feels good to vent a little bit, because a lot of people have insisted of me showing this ship, and I think to myself, is if so many people, you know, want to see the ship perform, if so many people want to just know if it is worth grinding for this one. First one is, yes, you have to research it anyway to go then to the light cruiser in a closed beta at least. Skip playing it. Skip playing it. Don't do this to yourself. Stick with the Z20. Feel like Captain Lindemann. I don't know. This is just yeah. You're really asking yourself what you're doing in this battle. You have to drive so long in a straight lane to get even into a shooting position, in a fighting position, and then you just get overplapped by the enemy, or your destroyers have killed everything. You cannot really realistically expect capturing capture points, so your income to even go over the stock grind is ridiculously low. The income in general is ridiculously low. I don't like the direction that this is going. Many people are annoyed with me ranting about certain things, but after playing this one, I think I found a new benchmark of ranting. This is ridiculous, and I cannot imagine somebody at Gaijin having played this thing at all, or just not thought it through quite logically. The discrepancy in actual battle performance is just amazing. But again, this ship is not bad by itself, as I will show you. So let's hop into some battle. So here, the first scene before I actually show you the best battle that I had so far is against a Type 140/141. And he is playing actually not bad. He's dodging my well-aimed salvos, and it looks like, well, you know, it's just a turkey shoot or shooting a fish in a barrel. And I hit him with a 120mm HE shell, cutting down the crew to 89%. Then multiple 120mm HE shells through the entire length of the ship, just cutting the crew to half, like 51%, and another salvo cuts it down to 24. But, you know, now he goes bow in. If he would be completely bow in and charge me, I couldn't kill him, maybe burn him down. But this is the issue with such a ship. And now he's shooting me with two 40mm autocannons. And look at its fire. I'm angled with my armor between 40 to 60mm, and he still cuts my crew down. Another hit on the torpedo barrel absorbs the damage, but now he's down after his crew just hampered me down to 22%. I am classified as a destroyer. I have some of the thickest armor in the game, and yet 40mm autocannons cut my crew down and damaged the interior of my citadel, bringing me to a standstill. And this is another one. Again, a supremely well aimed shot at this patrol boat. The shells just go nowhere near where I aim it, but okay, you know, I'm accelerating. And now I have to switch to the S100 derivative, and look at this. I still hit him, he's down to 12%, and still he is killing my crew. Then the shells just dip down. And look at the reload rate compared to other ships. And again, a perfect hit of 4 120mm shells. I have to aim for the rear of a patrol boat to actually kill it with a destroyer. And now I'm down to 4% crew. Now, I want to just stop the video here and talk about this for a brief moment. I knew that this guy was coming around the corner. Please notice the turret rotation speed, and I know that I should have switched to the 20mm or the 37mm guns. I know that, but please notice what happens next. Please look at it in great detail. Remember, I'm the most well-armored destroyer in the game currently. So here he comes, and I cannot swing the gun around in time, but I expected the torpedoes early on, and then, well, my main gun just doesn't do any damage. The torpedoes explodes on the already saturated area, so I am in the flooding. I need to seal the leaks, and I cannot look at how long it takes for my 20mm to turn around. And yeah, they'll do the job. So now I'm down to 0% crew. And I'm still flooding down to 84% buoyancy, and there comes a destroyer. And yeah, let's see how it goes. So I just want to show you the effectiveness of those big high explosive shells on a destroyer. First hit, and we shut down the crew to 21%. He received battle damage before. Please let me get out the next salvo. He hits me once. I'm already down 16%, and I'm down. So finally, this is now the best battle, and as you can see, it will take a while, and I already cut out 5-6 minutes of pure driving. There were other battles where I just looked it up. 8 minutes cutting out of pure driving before I eventually can even open fire. And now I'm already in a position where if the enemies would shoot me, they would just cut me down with a few salvos. And I already received the first hit, and you can see it hasn't done me any good. I lost a lot of crew with already a single hit, cutting me down to 59%. And this battle was very lucky. The stars aligned perfectly for me, and I have some good hits here on enemy destroyer already. He's not focusing on me. I have perfect salvos on him, and I'm making a lot of damage. You can see one thing that I need to point out: with high explosive shells, you do not eventually have to blacken a ship section to kill a lot, and I mean a lot of the crew inside. And then we get a good salvo in, and we get our first kill on a Z-20 Carl Galster. So he was under the fire of some of my allies. I landed a lot of good HE shells. I was very lucky with the dispersion, and I'm just I just don't get shot. So a lot of circumstances have to be arranged, or a lot of things have to be aligned for you to get you know, the best out of this ship. Now I'm already going into the direction of the patrol boats to fight here the Siebelfern, the SF Leichte and the SF Schwere, and they are really still dangerous to you. I got killed by some of those previously, and that's not a wonder if you think about, you know, how a few 40mm hits can actually devastate your crew. It's no wonder when you know, 4 Wirbelwinds are actually shredding your entire ship. Yes, the range is limited, but still, also the one with the quadruple 88s, if he knows what he's doing, he can inflict a lot of damage on your ship. Yeah, you can see the accuracy. I'm not really you know, landing the shells where I want them to land. It's a bit dispersion. Also, the aiming system is still very, very unreliable. I know how to use it, believe me that. That doesn't mean that I like it how it is. It's like you know, driving a car. You know how to drive it, but you don't like to drive that particular car. It's like that. So now I stood still and I was positioning myself, you know, having a bit of visual cover, still can shoot over the island, and there is a light cruiser and I can pummel him a little bit. I think that is a light cruiser, doesn't really matter. I have visual cover and I still can shoot over the island, so the trajectory is initially pretty flat. And then you go into the plunging fire. Again, you have no armor piercing shots to probably make use of that, but it also doesn't really matter. I now want to inflict a lot of damage. I now hope that I can harvest some patrol boats to get something done, to get some kill assists, to get some kills, to eventually capture points, to have some influence. And look, this Fletcher is sitting here probably for a few minutes already while I was still driving to that position. The speed difference, you might not really realize it how bad it is before you have not driven that ship yourself. So in fact it looks like this is a light cruiser, and yeah, let's see how my high explosive shells are actually doing against his armor. I'm firing a bit blind into the smoke. I have no real gray box around it, no marking. Now there it appears, I see the bow, now I can aim and the shells go out. Let's see how the results of my explosive shells are. If I could shoot this guy with my destroyer, I would aim for the ammo racks, I would aim for the guts, but he already has turtleback if it is the German one, and yeah, you just can annoy him, knock out anti-aircraft guns on top, setting him on fire, but you just have a lot of difficulties making the knockout blow. Also here, for some bizarre reason, when I'm zoomed in, sometimes the aiming system lets me jump around like this. Without any reason, sometimes I just to the left. Without any reason. That's highly annoying. I still think this is a bug. And then we have another destroyer that is completely unaware of me. So now let's open fire. And oh god, there is a German destroyer going into my direction, and I switch the targets. I badly overshoot him. Now I correct my aim, and let's see what damage we can do to him. And again, those 120mm HE shells cut a lot of crew down. But I don't have as many guns as you know, the Z20 or the Cowell, and I also don't have the rate of fire. I also don't have the option to switch to armor piercing to deal with a destroyer that is bow in. So there you can see, this is another light cruiser, and thanks to its armor I have to aim for the weakly protected plating parts, and one salvo is already destroyed half my guns, hitting the gun breaches. So now I have to switch the fire again to the destroyer that came around the corner, and God was very nicely to me, or Gaijin, and put the island right there where I was. Now I have time to repair my firepower, or half my guns rather, and also seal the leakings, and well, have a bit of aiming practice at some of the patrol boats. Again, the aiming system denies me to target here the AFD-1, and the destroyer kindly drives into me, completely screwing up my aim, and how the shells now fly is actually not my fault when you get pushed sideways from another destroyer. And I lose more and more crew, I get more and more kill assists. I'm okay with this. I have another leak, and this is by, you know, 20mm gunfire, 37mm gunfire, and eventually also some 88s are, you know, impacting on my ship. There you can see some nice hits on the AFD-1. I think it's an AFD-1. And then we have still not the correct aim on this guy. Don't ask me why the shells go the way that they go. I correct the aim, then it is wrong again, then I correct again, then the shells fall short despite the range finding, and it's just so frustrating. A very good salvo, and he's down to 7% crew. I aim for the back of the ship, but I hit the middle section instead, but it's enough to cut down and secure that kill. And oh my god, there is a destroyer. Swing the guns around, quick, 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 faster, faster, faster. They rotate so slow, so slow. And we actually hit the bridge and get a crew knockout. He was under constant fire previously. There is another German ship. I think it is another AFD-1, I'm not quite sure. And we hit the top. No, it's the Siebelfähre with the Schwere Siebelfähre with the 88s. A lot of damage. Again, I cannot switch to the armor piercing. I need to aim for the front pylon of the left side of the ship to do any meaningful damage. And we hit there, and then we get another crew knockout. Do you see how difficult it is to actually aim without armor piercing shells? And even then, the rate of fire, it's just... This ship is way too fragile for the armor it carries with it. It is way too unmaneuverable. It is way too slow, and in the triangular of firepower, protection and speed, it is not that good in all three departments. You still can make it work, but this is the best battle that I had in 3 days. This 5th kill secured me now the best result within 3 days of playing this ship. What you can see here is the very best outcome that you can think. You're safe from torpedoes, your team is around you, the enemy team is shooting your teammates, you have a lot of time to shoot at enemy boats, and well, you don't have to make use out of your non-existent torpedoes. Aircraft are not directly attacking you, so this is like heaven for you, and you still struggle. And then we get some critical hits into a plane. I let now the gunners open fire. I'm hoping for some miracle. I'm pummeling the destroyer at somewhat long range. I don't care about my ammunition. The aim is still off despite, you know, range finding, constantly correcting. You very often don't see where your shells land. You very often don't know if your aim is correct when you shoot over islands, when you shoot at long range. The tracers leave your aiming reticle, which you still need to look for. And again, then the random stuff that is wrong within the game is still a bit of annoyance. So I'm down to very low percentage of crew. But you know, half my team is actually undamaged when you look at the various different compartments. And that is really what is so strange about the ship. You don't have any benefit from the armor. And I think that is not good. And you can already see with the length of the video, with the length of my... I don't want to say it is a rant, but you know, I was not really pleasantly surprised at how Gaijin implemented the ship. You might say, well, okay, I skipped this ship, but already it shows you how screwed up the meta is, how screwed up everything is, and if you are not the top dog, you're actually meaningless. And so with 5 kills and 5 assists, that's the end of the well, action part of this match, and you can see how long it took me. You have problems against patrol boats, you have a lot of problems against destroyers, you cannot pick a fight, even with patrol boats that will mow down your crew. You don't have the rate of fire, you don't have the ammunition types, you don't have the gun alignment, you don't have the speed and maneuverability to really make most use out of the ship. The ship itself is not bad, it's just bad in comparison to all the other ships around it, so it needs a lower battle rating. The map designs must be reworked. The spawn for ships like these needs to be reworked. While the AFDs and also the Siebelfähren are way too strong at their battle rating for the patrol boats that they fight, this one is way too weak. And I think it would be a nice counter for this ship versus an AFD-1. And I made here a very good salvo, but the Carl Galster mowed me down with a single AP salvo. So that's it for me today with this ship. I'm very interested about your opinion, how you see things fighting those things, if you ever see them on the battlefield, and sailing them yourself. and let me know everything about this ship in your opinion. Maybe my gameplay was not 99% perfect or 100% perfect, but if it is really my fault, then I think I stop playing ships altogether, because in this ship I'm absolutely trash in terms of pure results compared to the Carl Galster, where I'm disappointed if I don't get 10 kills per battle and also capture points and torpedo stuff wildly, shoot down aircraft, all those things. In this thing, you're at the mercy of you and the enemy team. Having said this, finally that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves of War Thunder.